Would you rather be walking into that regional tournament alone, entering into that hall with thousands of people, all the noise and the nerves that come along with it? Or would you rather enter that tournament hall with a group and being ready and prepared to go? Today, we're going to be exploring the psychological benefits of entering tournaments as a group or a team. Welcome back to TCG Psychology, the channel where we turn psychological concepts into competitive advantages. Now, today we're going to be exploring the benefits of entering TCG tournaments as a team or a group, and we'll be doing that through the lens of social identity theory. Now, what social identity theory establishes is that we build some of our self-esteem and our self-concept through the social groups that we are a part of. So when it comes to TCG teams, really part of our esteem and our self-concept comes from that wider group that we are a part of. So when you enter into those larger tournaments and you go into each round, whenever you experience a loss or a mistakes, then it's no longer just a case of pinning the blame on yourself, but actually you're able to use that group as sort of a shield to protect some of your self-esteem and your identity. We're going to be exploring the benefits of sort of using that group shield and what that can do for you in those larger tournaments from round to round, and the best ways to establish that as a psychological safety net as you go further and further into a tournament. So the first thing that we're going to explore is how we can utilize our teams as sort of a stress buffer. So like I mentioned before, when you go into each of those rounds, when you're entering in on your own, when you experience a loss, you really feel that I failed in that round and I've not played to my best in that situation. And it can be very difficult to sort of navigate that after the game's happened if you've got no one to sort of go and talk to and no one to go and socialize around, and rather you're just sat there on your own. You know, the initial larger tournaments that I entered, I remember going on my own, and it was very, very difficult for me, particularly on the days where I wasn't performing very well, to go away from each round and be able to reset, because it was just me and my thoughts thinking about all the mistakes I made during that game. Now, if we've traveled as part of a team and as part of a group, you can go and find your teammates after that round's ended, and rather than necessarily just spending that whole time reflecting on every little thing that you should have improved, you can sort of recap how the round went, identify the main points that you need to focus on for the rounds coming up, and then also talk about how your teammates' rounds went as well. And you can sort of share in maybe some of the mistakes that were made. If more than one person in the team lost, then you can talk about those losses as well, and it's no longer just I, but you've got that team identity of we are performing today, and one team member's success is the success of the group as well. Now, the other thing to consider is the social buffer as well that provides. So as you are sort of going to your teammates after a round and you're talking about how that round has gone, again, it's really important to focus that conversation on what's going to benefit the group as a whole moving forward. So when I mentioned before identifying those key points about how the game went, not only are you able to sort of narrow your mind onto, okay, these are really what the key points that I need to keep in mind for the rest of the day are, but also you're sharing that information with the team as well. So you may have come up against a particular archetype in that tournament itself, and you can then share some information about some of the cards that you've seen and some of the things to really keep in mind as other team members might be competing against similar decks moving forward in the tournament. So that's more people to sort of understand how to approach certain archetypes when it comes to the future rounds as well. I mean, you can also use that opportunity to sort of make sure you're not focused too much on all the small details. You've got that opportunity after the tournament to go into a deeper reflection on how to improve your gameplay and what to really focus on. So in those in-between rounds, this is a really good opportunity to just sort of relax for a minute with your friends and enjoy their company before the next round starts, and really make sure that you're not too hyper-focusing on every little thing that you could change from that game before. Now, entering as a team and a group as well does provide that opportunity to just rant about those games that might not have gone your way. We've all been there where you've have the deck that should set up perfectly against what your opponent is playing, and all you need to do is draw that one card and that flips the game on its head and you just don't see it, and that feels just really bad. And then you go into the second game against them and you get the most horrible starting hand, and again something like that happens and you just can't recover that board state. And 9 times out of 10 you should be beating that deck. It just happens to be that 1 time out of 10 at this major tournament. Well, fortunately, if you've traveled with a group, you can just go and let out some of those emotions for them. We've talked about emotions previously on the channel, and how if we don't address those emotions as they continue to build up over the course of a tournament day, they've got to come out in some way. So by traveling as a group and a team, you can let those emotions out at times when they are needed in between rounds, rather than them potentially coming out in the middle of a round and impacting a future game at that tournament. So ensuring that everyone's okay with being part of that team and being able to just let those emotions out from time to time can be a huge benefit when it comes to performing in those later rounds during the day. Now, finally, when it comes to being part of a TCG group or team for a tournament, what you can do is actually assign roles for each other to ensure that everyone's contributing to the functioning of that team. The higher into sort of the competitive space you go, the more you'll see sort of teams working together to ensure that they're performing efficiently and effectively over the course of a tournament day. So there's different roles that you could play in order to be effective as a team. And it could be something as simple as having someone assigned to figuring out the logistics of the tournament day, you know, having one person figuring out where you're going to stay, what you're going to do for lunch, what you're going to do for food, etc. Then that takes a lot of decision making off of the whole group, and enables the decision making to be focused on the actual TCG gameplay itself. The other sort of roles that you can think about is sort of the morale person, who's you know, just that naturally bubbly person that's able to get everyone motivated and going in between rounds. That can be very helpful throughout the course of a tournament day. You can have someone that can go around after they finish their games and sort of watch those higher tables to see what decks are being played, what cards are being seen most consistently, and gather some of that intel that can be shared with the group. And of course, most importantly, having someone there to sort of oversee how the whole team are doing, figuring out potential placements, etc., and understanding the deeper matchmaking system to ensure that you're able to progress to the best of your ability as a team as well. By having individual roles within the team, again, that reduces some of that stress that comes with being part of a TCG tournament. It enables everyone to contribute equally to the team, and ultimately helps you continue to grow as a group as well, and really develop that social identity into a strong performing TCG team. I hope you enjoyed that video exploring the benefits of entering TCG tournaments as a team. If you're considering building a team within your local community, do feel free to share this video with them. If you enjoyed the content, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel so you're notified when future videos are released. In the comments section down below, let me know what your tips and tricks for a successful TCG team are. And until the next time, win the mind game meta.